Welcome back, guys, to an episode of Who Dis?
Who that is?
COVID-19 quarantine, isolate, don't leave your home edition. We have a very special guest.
Yeah, so special that she's a mythical creature.
Bubbly fun, loves rhinestones.
So many rhinestones. And dogs.
Is an amazing
all the dogs.
Fierce competitor, has such a soft heart, loves her dogs.
All the dogs. All the dogs in the world.
Who is she? Who is it?
Kirsten Moore-Towers! With the dramatic hood lift.
Unicorn flying magical thing.
Welcome to That Figure Skating Show's Who Dis?
And I've got guests.
And you brought guests. Asher has a dog.
He left away.
So, let's start off. We find ourselves in a very weird place in the world and in the figure skating world, and I'm sure in your world. So, let's start by moving back a bit to the World Championships. Where were you when you found out it wasn't happening? How did you feel about it? How were you feeling about your training at that time? Go.
I was actually standing just right behind me, the other side of the bed, when I found out I was refreshing Twitter like a mad woman. We had just gotten back from the gym, and we, of course, knew that there was a very strong potential for it to be canceled. That day, the World Health Organization had declared COVID-19 a pandemic. So when we have a pandemic on our hands, we don't go to World Championships. So I think we were just kind of waiting for the final call. Something I didn't expect was the finality of the season hitting me like a ton of bricks, honestly. I had kind of prepared myself for the idea that Worlds might not happen, but for whatever reason, it didn't click in my brain that means my season's over. And our competition prior to what would have been Worlds was not our best one. We had changed the way we train, and so for 3.5 weeks, Worlds was canceled on Wednesday, and we were scheduled to leave on the Sunday. So we had done the majority of our training. We were pretty much just tapering and maintaining by that point. And we were training awesome, better than we ever had. We were feeling confident and ready, and obviously bigger things going on in the world, which we understood. But I think it was tough to not have that ending. And you guys understand, like, there's something about, regardless of the outcome, about finishing your season and being able to look back and talk about it and have a conversation for next season. And I think we almost always know when our last competition of the season is, or we know there might be potential for it to be the last competition. So it's strange to just kind of not have that. Like I said, we understand, and it was absolutely the right call. But it was definitely a weird one for us.
And speaking of that, because again, we understand the duality of like how serious the pandemic is, but I think that we have to still let ourselves feel those emotions that we're feeling, because Olympics is now moved, and everything is pretty much canceled. So yeah. How are you feeling more like emotionally, if you can put it into words?
Yeah, I have this. I mean, obviously something that's been positive for me about this time is I've been in touch with a lot more people a lot more often than I normally would be. People get busy, and just because we don't reach out doesn't mean we don't care. But since all of us have all this time on our hands, we've been talking about our feelings a lot. And I often use the expression, and I should learn what movie this quote's from, because I keep saying, that quote from that movie, and it goes, "You can't handle the truth."
A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men.
Yeah. I think it came out like the year I was born, like 1994. So this is what I use to tell people, and I'm that person where I really struggle with, maybe it's naivety, I really struggle with the reality of the situation. And I think because I am sensitive and ever the optimist, I find I try to do my part. I stay home. I make sure that I am not contributing to anything, the spread of this or anything bad happening to anyone. but I need to be positive for my own mental health, and I don't think it's bad necessarily. I'm not turning a blind eye to it, but for me, it's healthy, and right now, it's kind of all I've got.
It's it's kind of healthy for everybody. In all honesty, for me, coming out of sport, part of my journey through transition has been to let go of that athlete brain where you're always okay, you're always on, you're always strong, and like accept being a human being. And I think this is a great time for athletes who have to kind of like sit and reflect and allow themselves to quote unquote feel vulnerable, because that's like a scary thing for an athlete, right? Like you can't let yourself go there for the majority of your time, because it'll get in the way of your training, or if you don't handle it properly, right? It's funny because when I'm in acting class, we talk about our feelings nonstop. Everyone's talking about them. So many feelings, all the feelings. I'm like, oh my god, these people are just talking about all the feelings.
I find it's refreshing, and it's when I see somebody feeling vulnerable, I really respect them. You know, like in a world that can be so hard and guarded, I really respect vulnerability, and I find as I'm getting a little bit older and closer to retirement, I try my best to be the person that my 15-year-old self might have needed, and that happens organically. I'm not going to go about it in a way that is inorganic or untrue to who I am at the core. But I find these kind of things help so many more people than we are actually even aware of, you know? And if that's all we've got right now is helping each other and trying to make each other feel okay, then that's all we've got right now.
Totally. I mean, it takes courage to be vulnerable. So
yeah, absolutely.
Facing it is important. So good for you. Snaps for you.
It takes courage to wear that onesie too, Asher. Jeez Louise, what are you wearing?
Says the girl with gold wings and a unicorn.
It's a onesie for, when you're going out for a rave in the summer. I don't know. Like melted paint.
As one has.
Honestly, you look great. Dylan's a dinosaur.
Yeah, well, literally.
Not a unicorn.
I am a dinosaur.
We're all just
kind of old.
Magical things. I don't know. I'm melting.
This was thrown on the ice to me, actually, this lovely unicorn onesie.
Man, skating fans are incredible.
By a friend named Jonathan. He's a great, great man and a good friend, and always gives us the good stuff.
Shout out to Jonathan. Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Where's mine?
The unicorn the high juice.
Okay, speaking of, we have to self-isolate to flatten the curve, as we've all heard. What are you doing to keep yourself busy? Because I know that, like all of you, you're probably a little bit tired of so many dance challenges, so many push-up challenges, sit-up challenge, these challenges, this challenge, all those challenges.
So many
what challenges are you currently doing, and how do you keep it busy?
Well, in terms of social media, now I will only participate in a challenge if more than 5 people nominate for me. Once we get to 5, then fine, I'll do it.
Wow.
That's how we've drawn the line now. In terms of real life, well, when World was canceled so abruptly, I was kind of in peak shape, honestly. Like it was coming down to my most important competition of the season, and typically after Worlds, as you very well know, we take a break. And for whatever reason, with Worlds not happening as planned and now being stuck in our houses, I am not prepared to take a physical break as well as a break from everything else in my life. So I've been joining all kinds of workout groups and workout classes. Now, Bruno has arranged for classes for the pairs every day or most days, so I do that one. I've started leading and teaching a stretch class for Skate Oakville, which at first when they asked me to do, I was a little bit concerned because I've never really done it before, and though I have a plethora of experience, I don't necessarily have the education or the schooling to back it up. I was having a little bit of imposter syndrome. But when I started putting together these plans, and have been really trying hard because I want to do a good job, of course, I started putting together these plans and, doing research and trying to make the class kind of seamless and go in a way that makes sense, it's crazy how much you realize you've learned over the years just by doing.
Yeah.
And so I've done that a couple times. Today there was, I think, 168 people in the class, which made me feel, and this was class 2, so I was worried because class 1 had a lot of people. But I thought, here's the thing, the coolness wears off after class 1, so if the class wasn't good, ain't nobody coming back.
Right.
So, for class today, I was like really crossing my fingers there would not be like just a huge decrease in numbers. But I'm really enjoying it. So that's kind of something I've taken away from this is typically people always talk about finding balance in figure skating, and I'm just not that gal. I just love figure skating. I love to watch it. I love to do it. I love to come home and do things that are going to make me better at it the next day. And people who love me are often encouraging me to find balance in life. And I think that they're absolutely right. I think we need that, especially for transitioning out of sport. I'm going to need things, obviously, that I enjoy and that I feel good at. And I haven't been overly successful in finding things that I am as passionate about as I am figure skating, which is, I think, a struggle that a lot of us have. So in this, I've learned that if I actually really enjoy something, I'm going to work really hard at it, even if it's not skating. And that, for me, was something I was unsure of for a while. I'm sorry to get so deep on you.
No.
Why are you sorry? This is riveting material for our audience. This is the stuff they want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. And I know, like, for probably Doug too, it's hard to, like, this has been, like, your whole life, and
identity,
like,
too.
At times it does feel like work, especially when you get to the level that we've all gotten to. It is still very much your passion. Like, there's still very much a love for it. There's a lot to love about skating, a lot of things to hate about it, but it's something that you love to do. Like, I really love the choreographic aspect of my sport. I love creating. I love movement. And so I know when I kind of stopped skating, I knew that I wanted to still create. I don't know if it was whether it was in skating or on my stands, but obviously with skating it's stuck. I'm still, like, looking to, like, explore my boundaries with movement, like more dance classes, more this, more that. But when you have a passion like this, it's skating that's taken up your entire life. It's hard to transition, but like you said, it's important to find those things, which is hard to do. Find something that's, like, obviously going to just take your passion the same way that this sport has.
I think the most important thing is to be patient with yourself and to be open-minded and open-hearted and just, whatever, like right now, feeling all the feelings and acknowledging feeling the feelings is super important to get through this time. Transition is the same. If you keep looking for something to feel like skating, you never will, because it's something that you've loved since you were a kid. And you're an adult now, and you're a different person than you were then, and that relationship will always be that. Moving forward, it's like finding a new Kirsten, and that's, if you embrace that as like an exciting journey that's going to be scary and painful at times, but new, you'll find something.
And open-hearted and open-minded is, I think, where I struggle. I think I'll like sign up for a class and I'll do like the first chapter. No, I like it. No.
It's not skating. I'm out.
And Liam is always on me about that. Like, but did you really try it?
Yeah.
Like, and I think also we're such perfectionists, and even when we skated, even when there's something new, usually we can kind of figure it out or figure out a way to, like, make it happen over time. And I'm so bad at being bad at stuff.
Same.
Like, I don't want to play video games. I'm not good at it.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
This is like, these are things I'm learning about myself over time, and I need to be okay with knowing that I'm never going to love anything this much right away. Because look at all the hours we put into this, it's never going to feel the same as this. And that is something that is ever the battle.
Well, it's like making new friends, but also having your family and your childhood friends, right? Like, it's different. It's different, and both are. They're both valuable. They're both valuable. If you're to look back on this season, what are your favorite moments? The things you're most proud of?
Two standouts for me. The first being Nebelhorn. Nebelhorn was a great start for us. It was our first competition in our new training environment. A lot of people really scratched their heads at our change of location. And it was, it's hard when you move and you feel like you have to prove to people that you did the right thing. And the first one felt good. It was our biggest long program score all year. We were hoping to top it at Worlds. Obviously, did not get a chance to try, but it felt good. It felt like a good start, like a good springboard for us to have a good season. And the first half of our season, honestly, was quite good. Grand Prix were pretty good. At NHK, we were in a position to make the Grand Prix final for the first time as a team. I hadn't been since we went in 2013. And honestly, wasn't sure if I'd ever be back. Like, the pair field is stacked, and even more so, it's really hard. So many things I feel have to fall into place to make Grand Prix final happen. Like, based on which teams are at Grand Prix, some seem so significantly or considerably easier than others. And our second Grand Prix, we needed to be second, and the world champions were there, and a really great Russian team was there. It was going to be hard for us, and we knew it, and we put down a clean long and secured second place, and were able to go. And I think that it's often the most difficult events and competitions that are the most rewarding. It's significantly less rewarding, I think, for all of us when it was a little bit more of an easier field or a walk in the park, if you will. And so I was really proud of us for that. And we were also with a brand new coaching team. Bruno's wife, Megan, had just had a baby, and so Bruno was not with us for either of our Grand Prix competitions. So we had Alison Perkis, who has quickly become a huge force in our team, someone I can't imagine us without at all, ever. And Brian Shales, who started as our jump coach, who Dylan and I trained with, 10 years ago.
I trained with Brian since we were 12.
We've trained with him forever. I trained with him 10 years ago, and honestly, when we moved to Oakville, it wasn't really in our plan to have him be our coach, and now we work with Brian more than we work with any other coach. We see him more than we see Bruno each day, probably by double. So he has a pretty big role in our team, and had a big role in our success. So we owe a lot to both of them for kind of taking over when Bruno had to stay back. And I was proud of us as a foursome. Like, the four of us kind of still learning each other, with the exception of Mike and I, who know each other quite well now. But, the rest of us still learning what makes each other tick. Too, right? And, Skate Canada was Brian's first Grand Prix as a coach. He had never done just so many new things for us that just kind of panned out. And it was awesome. It felt really good.
That's awesome. Yeah. And good for him. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Shales.
Brian worked hard. Brian works super, super hard. He's very professional.
He's very dedicated. Very dedicated.
Very dedicated, and, shows up, and he is the most savage of all the coaches. It's funny because when you work with, this could be interesting for you to know because you know him much better than I do, but when you work with a coach for a while and they kind of know what makes you tick, or they've been teaching senior teams for a while, they kind of know what's up. And at least with Bruno, for the most part, I always want to do more than the coach wants me to do, typically. So usually Bruno will say, do you want to do another throw? Do you need to do this? I don't need it. If you want to see it, go ahead. But there's an order of elements, you're not going to do spins for 20 minutes and then do another throw. At least I'm not.
Yeah.
There's a way you do things, but Brian will be doing sections with him all day. We will have done a section, or all session, we will have done a section with him with a throw. It was pretty good, not the best one ever. And we'll get to the end of the session, and it'll be like, you know what, Kirsten, I do want to see another throw loop. And I've been doing stroking patterns. Are you kidding me? But I can't say no. I will never say no to a coach that's it's going to be dangerous, but then, of course, he wouldn't ask me to do it. So I just turn around, and Mike's like, I know you don't want to. It's going to be fine.
So funny.
Or we'll finish, and Bruno might say, You did a lot today. You did a lot of great stuff. Get off the ice. And Brian will say, oh, we have 6 minutes left. Let's do these 20 stroking patterns.
Good for him.
Oh.
You know what? I think Paul Wirtz is smiling down on him right now. Like, yes, Brian.
Sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it sounds like I would imagine we're all kind of wearing.
Yeah, I'm like really wearing.
Yeah, this is COVID chic.
This is my second onesie of the day. I mean, it's
time for jam
not
message.
lying.
yeah.
It's not
Oh,
lying.
it's time for my 7 p.m. Outfit change.
It's true. It sounds like you guys have a great thing going, and I'm sure when the next season happens and the world is healthy again and ready for more exciting figure skating action, you guys will be ready to go. Keep inspiring everybody, and thanks for joining us on our show. And yeah.
Oh, thank you for joining us. And,
I wanted. When you weren't there, we were with Asher. We went there, and they were saying, "Oh, if you guys are familiar with that figure skating show, but you probably haven't been on it." And everybody in the room had been on it except for myself and Mike. So it's about time.
It's about time. Well, we'll get Mike on here soon too.
We'll get Mike soon. But yeah, thank you for so much. Like I've said it so many times to you, but like your programs, your growth this year has been so special. I love both programs. That dip, I'm gonna make Mike do it with me one day. It's been amazing.
He will.
Thank you for all you've done, and hang in there. And we're all here to talk and share more emotions and feelings.
And likewise, always here for you.
Hey guys, it's Asher and Dylan from That Figure Skating Show.
And if you liked this video, and don't lie, we know you did, there's actually more where that came from.
So subscribe to CBC Sports and click it. Click it real good.